Hey y'all, today I'm coming on to share my little project that I'm going to be making. This is the Sewing Machine mini album from Scrapdiva Designs, and the die just got here yesterday and I could not wait to play with it, and I had time today, so this is the machine. And then I used some of the other sewing dies that she just released, or her last release. I think she's got a June one coming up now. This says happiness is homemade. I used that die there. I also used the thimble and the scissors from this little memory dex die. So I have everything cut out and I am ready to go. I also cut out and may or may not use these little pieces here, and I'm going to attempt to do some stamping. I may have to stop the video and stamp off camera. I've never stamped on camera before. So this little set here has these little elements, and I thought it would be really cute on the sides of my box where I'm going to layer with some pattern paper. Then I did a couple of things to my sewing machine, and I've already done those things and put it together because my glue gun is on the other side of the room and I just could not imagine trying to do all that on camera. But I have the little thimble piece here, and I cut it out and then wrapped it with some embroidery thread. And embroidery thread has a silky sheen to me, and I think it's really pretty. I did use 2 strands of thread just for it to show up better. And then I took some wire and cut some tiny pieces, and I wrapped the wire around my pliers. Here are the pliers here, the ones that just have the little round edges. And then I cut the excess off, and then I made 3 tiny holes into my sewing machine with the awl that came in this set. I left it on the other side of the room, but it's just basically a straight piece with a very pointy end. And if you don't have an awl, you could also use something like your die release tool, but it's similar to this on the end. So once I made my holes, I stuck my little pieces of wire that I had curled around the edges and cut down to size. I don't know if you can see. And then I just put my glue gun on the back and secured the metal from the back side. And once the metal was in on all 3 places, I ran my thread through, and then I cut just a tiny piece of this gold, and it was actually just a remnant from my word die, one of the little pieces that just kind of was extra that went between the letters like this. And I cut it down to size and took my awl and made a little impression there as if it were a hole in the needle. And I put my thread right behind it with some more glue, and it kind of looks like the needle is threaded. So that was just something extra I wanted to do to add some interest to the little front of the box. And now I'm going to attempt to put this together, do a little bit of stamping, and hopefully this goes a little better today than last night. And I think I'll start by stamping my pieces first just to get those ready. And this is going to be the 2 ends of the box. This piece here is going to have my sentiment on it, so I'm not going to stamp the larger piece, and it's actually going to be sticking off of the box just a little bit, and that's fine. So is my machine. It is larger than the box, but I'm just going to line up the bottom, and then the box will be able to just open and house any kind of little extra sewing supplies that I might have over there. I have a lot of little storage containers on my other side of the room, which is sewing, and I have my machines over there, and this side of the room is paper crafting. So now I'm going to just start by stamping these little ends, and I'm only going to use the tiny pieces from this set here, and this is a close to my heart set, and it has a lot of cute little pieces. So okay, I think I'm going to definitely want to use these 3 because they're the smallest, and I love this piece here, and I really wish, I guess it could come off of the, I might use that one. So first I'm going to use the thread. I think this is the cutest one of the whole set. I'll use a smaller block and go ahead and ink up my little thread. And again, I'm winging it. Nothing was really planned out other than the die cutting and what it was going on. So probably need something to stamp on, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Let me use this. This might give it a little bit of cushion. And if I'm gonna put this here, I could maybe stamp the scissors sideways. Okay, and then I'm going to, I think I'm going to use this little thimble next. I'm going to run across the room and grab some more stamp blocks. Just 1 second. Okay, so I grabbed several. I don't want to be cleaning stamps on the camera. This one's perfect for my little thimble. I'm going to stamp it just in this area here. Okay, and I think instead of the scissors on this one, I'm going to use this little pin cushion. It looks like it will fill up the remainder of the space pretty well. And that one. Okay. And just putting it here. Okay, so that is one end all finished up. And now we'll do my second panel. And I think for this one I want the scissors for sure. And let's use this block for those. Not sure the scissors are straight, so let me try this method. All right. Okay, now I'm gonna try to put the scissors on at an angle, and I think I like them down here in this corner. So, that way. All right. Now, I need a little going to use the thimble again. I thought it was cute. So, ink that up real quick. Also inking up my thumb. Okay. And there's a little stamp over there called, or that says nice work, and it's a pretty little font. Let's see if I have room for that. Or my tape measure. Forgot about that. So the one is over here. It would have to go, yeah, I like that. So I'm going to use that one. I'm going to have to run across the room again and grab another long stamp block. Okay, so got that. Y'all, when I started crafting, when I started paper crafting, the first thing that I started, or the first medium, I guess, or if that's what they call it, was the stamping. And you just need so much stuff. I mean, you think, oh, you just need some ink and a block, right? Well, no, then you need different size blocks and different color inks. And before you know it, you're just absolutely buying all this stuff. I mean, it's fun. I like it, but it is a whole to-do. I'm gonna ink the whole thing up. I'm not sure. I don't remember what number I stopped at. I think it was the 8. Okay, and I really don't want to stamp on my stuff here. So maybe that'll keep it off of everything, and if not, it wipes right off the glass. Yep, it was the 8. So here we go with that. Okay. Cute. I love sewing machine tapes or seamstress tapes, any kind of stamp or die that has the little tapes on it. I just think it's so cute. Somebody had one of these projects, and they had used, I can't remember which brand of paper, that had all of these cute little different colors of seamstress tapes just stacked. And I did find that paper, I think you could get the one sheet of paper on Etsy or eBay, but I don't know. I thought, I don't know that I want to pay that much for one sheet of paper. And there's a lot of digital sewing, digital paper with sewing themes on Etsy. So I'm probably just going to buy a couple sets of those and then try to find one that has the little tapes on it. So I am done with my stamping. That worked out fine. And now I think I'm going to go ahead and add my panels to my box. So I'll go ahead and get everything on the box except sewing machine. And that will be our first step. Okay. So now I'm gonna add that here. And I had to measure my box and just kind of go with the size that was going to be close. I like a 1/4 inch, border, but it's close. It's fine. This is gonna land in my sewing room anyway, so it'll just be something pretty that I look at, that I store some extra stuff in, and it'll be fine. So Here goes my other panel. And there we go with that. Okay. Now for the last one. My husband and I have a date this evening. It is his class reunion. I won't say how many years because it is a lot. And I've got to go in and start getting things ready for that. So I have sort of limited time out here today. All right, so now we are ready for our letters. I think I'll go ahead, I think I'll save them for last since they're gonna stick off just a little bit on each side. But, and this color really, it'll all pull together because this here is the color, similar color of the box, but this was hard to match, and this was really the only paper that I could find that would kind of coordinate with the sewing machine and the pink. So sometimes I just have to go, just start, and it just all kind of works out because I don't have a lot of themed paper, and I really wish I had. This is Doodlebug, by the way. I can't remember the name of the collection because it's pretty old. In fact, I think I have some Doodle Pops that would have probably been cute on here. But anyway, I can do more. This is just my first sewing machine project. And I'm going to put these away for now. I'll clean them after the video. All right, so now I'm going to put the sewing machine, finish putting it together. And I cut 2 of these back pieces just because I want it to be a little thicker than one piece would have made it. I have not tried to cut the really thick chipboard out with any of the thin wafer dies or with any of Scrapdiva's dies. I don't know if it will cut well. I haven't tried it, so I probably should have tried it. I didn't think about it. I just kind of like my projects to be sturdy and thick if I'm going to use it in the craft room. I don't want it bending and falling apart. But not all dies will cut chipboard. Not all wafer thin dies are created equally. So I'm going to go ahead and just add these together. Okay, so there's that. Now, my little string out of the way. I don't want to glue that. Go ahead and glue the back of this. I really did not intend to put any string. I hear my husband. I don't know if he's going to walk in here or not. I might have to stop the camera for just a minute. I didn't intend to put any thread, actual thread on it, but while I was cutting everything out, I thought, I wonder if I could make that work. It was really easy to make the little metal pieces and easy to add them on, so just kind of added a little fun element to the project. All right, and I have no idea how much of a border I'm supposed to be having here, but that looks okay. Now, okay, and everything's sealed down around the edges. And so I definitely would not let a child play with this because it's just a little tiny bit sharp. Not bad. But, okay, now I'm going to go ahead and decorate the front of my machine. And I cut this out of the Doodlebug paper. Haven't really tried to see. There's impressions here where I think these pieces go. And I'm not, I guess that would just be decorations for the sewing machine. Other people just had these little stripes. So, okay, that one goes there. Not sure if this is supposed to be a drawer or what, but this has a little hole cut out in the middle, and I never could figure out what that's for. Unless it is like a drawer. But anyway, I'm gonna put this little piece on, and it's about the same size, so I'm just gonna trim the ends and lay it in the middle with the thimbles on it. I think. I don't know. I might just put this down and add a diamond dot in the middle. I think I'll use that later. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue these down. Our weather here, y'all, it's crazy. We had a lot of rain this week, and when I woke up this morning, it's like, you know what? It feels like spring outside. We have had the most beautiful weather. We've had about a week of really hot weather, but for the most part, it's still been really pretty. And when I woke up this morning, it just felt like it was cool and spring outside. So I walked outside just to see, and it literally is like a spring day out there. It's beautiful. Last weekend we cleaned out our garage, washed the house down, and it would have been great to have this weekend's weather last weekend because we burned up. We probably should have done it earlier in the spring or waited to do it in the fall, but it needed to be done very badly. So, okay, assuming that's where they go, kind of even just like the sewing machines here in the middle. Because if I put that, yeah, I think that's too much pink anyway. I'm just going to leave that off and call that done. I've never seen a sewing machine with a drawer underneath it anyway, so I'm not really sure what that hole is for. If anybody knows, please tell me in the comments. So here is the hand wheel. And I cut most of my stuff out of gold. I just thought it was pretty. I like gold. And I love pink and gold. So I'm going to add this here. I'm never quite sure if it's an exact covering, or I should probably lay it down before I put glue on it and see. I never know if I'm looking for a border around it or what. Okay, so there's the hand wheel, and now the little control dial will be next, and I'm gonna just glue that one at the time instead of putting them together first. Kind of center it in that general area. And I love sewing machines. Oh, I have several sewing machines that do different things, and I have some. I have my grandmother's treadle machine. It's in my bedroom. My great-grandmother, Virginia, I have her beautiful treadle sewing machine. My mom said when she was a little girl that my grandmother would never let her touch that machine. She said she had to learn to sew by hand before she would let her sew on her machine. So my mom took it seriously and she learned to sew by hand. And she said by the time she learned to sew by hand, they moved. They were living with my grandmother, or my great-grandmother, and she never got to sew on that machine. And she felt like she had been bamboozled. But funny story, of all of the many, many, many grandchildren she had and great-grandchildren, my mom's the one that ended up with the machine. And then she gave me the machine. So these little scissors, I think, are just a little differently cut. Like there's an angle, and I can't figure out if I'm supposed to. I think that's right. There we go. So I'm going to put a tiny amount of glue because this stuff here does not like glue. And if you get any extra on it, it's just kind of there to stay. You can't get it off this paper, and it doesn't dry pretty on this paper, on this gold. Okay, so I think I'm not sure where I want the scissors. I did want to use them because they're really cute, and I got diamond dots out so that I can put a diamond dot in the middle of the scissors. Okay, so looks like, there we go. And again, it's gonna be kind of hard to make that stay. Uh-oh, look there. Yep. I told you, it also doesn't take that well to glue this paper, but I love this paper. Okay, I'm gonna put that there. Let's kind of hope for the best. Hope for the best here. When it dries, maybe. I always try to just get the excess off. Now, I'm going to quit fiddling with the scissors and just lay them aside and hope for the best. Maybe in a few minutes they'll be dry. Okay, so the next thing looks like the top and bottom of the spool of thread. I couldn't figure out what this was for actually, because I had these other two little pieces that needed to be cut, and I thought, well, where do they go? And so this was the only place I could see that they may go. So again, we're dealing with this silver or gold, so try not to over glue here. Okay. Let's get my here. All right. That little tool came from Amazon. I love this little wax end for picking up tiny, tiny things. I have a pencil that I got years ago off Ally, and I like it too. But it's just plain. It's just a plain old white pencil. It doesn't have pretty beads in it like this one does, so. Okay, So now we have that on there. Now it looks more like a thimble. Not a thimble, sorry, more like a spool. Okay. Now, everything on the sewing machine is done. And I just have my letters that go on this here. I'm going to go ahead and put the letters on here. And there's a tiny, there it is, tiny little dot to my eye. Okay. That's part of handmade. We'll go there. There's the ADE. And here is happiness is. Okay, and once again, gluing on this gold stuff. So try not to over apply the glue. So don't want it squishing out in the front. So this little glue gun is really, or this little tool, glue holder. I guess it's actually the Nuvo bottle. I think this is the fine tip. It came with 2 different bottles. One you can feel, and then there's 2 tips. I use the fine tip for the glue that I'm using, or the glue that came with. I will definitely purchase this glue when I run out. I do like it. Okay, so probably need to be using my tweezers. Let's see. And center my eye there in the middle, whoa, so that it has a home, a place to land. That gold is so pretty. Okay, I'll grab my little piece here. Gotta get it turned over. Okay. Put a little dot there for the eye. Okay. Now, I just need to, I did kind of want to use foam to pop this up on, but it's been a long time since I did foam behind my letters. Couldn't remember where I put the foam, which foam I used, all that good stuff, so I didn't feel like fooling with that today, because I do have limited time. Okay. Now, this will be the last thing I have to do, besides, I have a thimble cut out too. I want to put that somewhere on the project. Okay, so y'all, look what I did. Okay. Okay. Kind of a tight squeeze there, where this H comes up by the eye. Okay, just one more part. All right, now. Oh, that's tiny. Tiny, but see how this little fine tip Nuvo glue is just like great. I mean, you can apply as little or as much as you want really easily. Okay, so here goes this. Okay, I didn't drop that one. Yay. All right. So now you can see just a little bit of that over, or whatever, of that glue. It's just a tiny, tiny, tiny spot. But that is fine. And it is ready for the other side of the box. Y'all, that is beautiful. The font is beautiful. Erica makes the prettiest word dies. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead, we're going to glue the back of this. First I need to gauge what needs to be glued. So I'm gonna glue the box and then just stick it. And then just stick this down like this and center the machine on it. Come up. And we have just a tiny, tiny bit of box showing behind it. Not much. So it's a good size. Make sure it is all the way down. Okay, so now we have our box and we have our stamped ends, and we're now going to put our Happiness is Homemade over here. So, you know what? I said I like things thick. I'm gonna go and cut one more of these because I want that to have some thickness to it, because it's going to be hanging over the ends of the boxes just a tad. So my camera cut off on me and I didn't know it, but I really didn't do anything beyond finish all of this, and I added the bobbin here. So my box is completed and I am going to go and grab some lunch and get ready for our date. And other than the things I added, I had cut out this little Tim Holtz, I think it's called Sewing Room Minis, and I wanted to put this on there, but there just wasn't a place for it because number one, it kind of got washed out because the fabric on the little dress form or the paper is the same as the machine, and then everywhere else it was too tall. So I could have, I guess, used a different paper and then put it here instead of the scissors. But again, it's just a little too big. It's not necessarily, I don't think the place for it was on the front of the machine, but I will use it on a different project. So thank you all for watching, and I will be back with more of these cute little projects from Scrapdiva's little sewing dies. I think they're all precious.